Hello, everybody. Back for the next section of Allies by Alan Gratz, published by Scholastic Books. We are thankful that Scholastic has allowed us to read these chapters to you on video while we're at home in quarantine for the COVID 19 virus. Today, we're going to be moving on to the next section in the book. It is called Operation Tonga, June 6, 1944. And this section, it says 3 hours before the beach invasion in the sky over the English Channel. The next chapter here is entitled Absolutely Average. What the heck am I doing here? Lance Corporal James McKay of the 1st Canadian Parachute Battalion wondered. He closed his eyes and held on to his seat for dear life. Boom, 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 boom. German anti aircraft shells exploded in the sky around him. The twin engine Albemarle troop transport aircraft that James rode in jumped and rocked. Germany's welcome committee, James thought. They must be over the Channel Islands. They would be over France soon, and then he and the rest of the soldiers in the plane would parachute down into enemy territory. They would be the first Canadians on the ground in the invasion, some of the first Allied troops from anywhere on the ground at Normandy. The top army brass told them it was an honor. James thought it was a death sentence. James was 19 years old, and like many of the other young men in his company, he was going into battle for the first time. James had short brown hair, brown eyes, and one of those unremarkable faces no one could remember. He was average height and average build. Whenever he was told to line up alphabetically, his last name, McKay, put him right in the middle. In high school, before he'd quit to join the Army, James had solid C's across the board in all of his classes. Even his hometown, Winnipeg, Manitoba, was at the longitudinal center of Canada. James was absolutely average. He had never done a single thing in his life to stand out, good or bad. What am I doing parachuting into France on D Day? James thought. You volunteered for this, Lance Corporal Samuel Tremblay said, as if reading James's mind. James sat facing Sam across the airplane's lone aisle. James was a Cree Indian from Quebec. He was thick set, with tan skin, straight black hair, and high cheekbones. Nobody forgot meeting Sam. He was definitely not average. Like James, Sam wore a green and brown camouflage jacket, olive green pants tucked into tan socks, and a green helmet covered with little shreds of fabric meant to help him blend in with the foliage when they landed. James and Sam had been friends since their first training days in England, and now months later they were finally crossing the English Channel in a British plane bound for France, wedged in tight beside the other Canadian paratroopers in their platoon. Okay, yes, I volunteered for the Army, James told Sam. I had reasons, but it was false advertising. They said that I would be defending Canada, okay? I thought that meant, I don't know, watching the Canadian coast for German U boats, he explained, guarding street corners in Toronto, patrolling the Northwest Territories on Mooseback, not invading France. How is invading France defending Canada? Well, the best defense is a good offense, said Sam. Okay, what does that even mean? James complained. He shook his head. I just want to get this over with and get back to Canada as soon as possible. Why'd you join, Chief? One of the newer recruits asked Sam. Sam turned to the newcomer. Well, the Canadian Army doesn't use the rank of chief, he said, straight faced. I am a Lance Corporal, like Lance Corporal McKay here. No, that's not what I meant, the soldier stammered. Well, then what do you mean, Private? Sam asked. Nothing, Lance Corporal. Frightened as he was, James couldn't help but smile. Ever since Sam had made Lance Corporal just one rank above private, he'd put dozens of soldiers who'd tried to call him chief in their place the same way. And that, Sam said across the aisle to James, is why I joined. Machine gun fire hit the Albemarle, and James and the other soldiers flinched instinctively. Not that there was anything you could do to avoid getting shot on a plane. Transport planes delivering paratroopers had to fly low, at about 1,000 feet. which put them in the range of German anti aircraft guns and machine guns. The rounds hitting the metal fuselage sounded like trash can lids banging in the alley behind James' apartment building on trash day. Ka-tunk, ka-tunk, ka-tunk. Okay, the Krauts are shooting at me. Honest to God, they're shooting at me, James thought, and he closed his eyes and he tried to take deep breaths. What reasons? Sam asked. James opened his eyes. What? Well, you said you volunteered for reasons. What were they? James huffed. Well, because the Nazis invaded Winnipeg, okay? Sam stared at him. James, the Nazis never invaded Winnipeg. Yes, they did, James said. James, Manitoba is at the dead center of Canada, Sam said. It's 1,500 miles from either coast. Don't you think the Nazis would invade, I don't know, Montreal or Toronto first? James sighed. It wasn't a real invasion, okay? It was if day. And that is the end of that section. Tomorrow, you'll get to hear if day. Now, if you guys want to hear more chapters from Allies, you can check them out on my YouTube channel, and you can go there and subscribe. Here's some previous chapters. We have a whole bunch of them there. And you can also, while you're at it, check out Mr. Knepp's channel right here. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe.